All right. All right. Sorry if some of you probably saw some of that and some of you didn't, but now it looks like we're good to go. Are we good? Yep, we're good. Okay, we're fine. Well, I'll start over for any of you that may have missed it. Sorry, it's always tough with this. There's about a 30-second delay, and I'm never sure when the stream's really live or not. What I was saying, happy holidays. Scott Houston here. And we're going to probably go somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour. And I'm going to do some question and answers at the end, so stick around for that. But I want to teach you to play Away in a Manger. It's a beautiful Christmas carol, and it's fun this time of year to learn some of these things because the tunes are really, really simple tunes. And then we can really focus on just some of the interesting stuff to embellish it a little bit. So, um, yeah, if you have any questions, there should be a live chat going on, and Ryan will be moderating it. Some of you may have spoken to Ryan in the past, so we will have somebody moderating that, and if there's something that needs to come through to me, he'll send it in here to the studio, so that's good. Also, this entire thing will be saved. It just gets archived automatically, so the minute we're done, it'll just become a YouTube video, and it'll just be up there. So as I go through this, don't think you've got to either take notes feverishly or anything. You'll be able to see it as often as you want the minute we're done here. And finally, if something does hang up sometimes, the probably the easiest suggestion is to just reload the page. It's not like you'll lose where we are in the stream or anything. It'll just keep coming to you. So if your computer hangs up for some reason, just do a reload of the page, and that's probably going to be your best bet. So hey, let's dig in. Again, the tune we're going to do is Away in a Manger. And I almost hesitate to say this right now because I don't want to lose everybody if you go to do this and then you flake out for the next few minutes. But there's a lead sheet to this tune. Actually, there's two lead sheets on the same page. There's a link to it down in the description of this video, and it's actually it's what I'm going to be not playing from. I know the tune, but it's what I'm going to be using chords wise. So if when we're done with all this, if you want to print that out, you can do it. Or if you're really handy and you want to try to print it out now, you can too. But I'd almost rather you not, particularly at the beginning, because I want to prove to you that you can learn a lot of this stuff by ear. So let's go ahead and get started, right? It's this tune. Right. All right. All right. Believe it or not, you're going to have this going here in about a half an hour. So let me get over to the piano shot. Here we go. All right. Here's my middle C, right? That's just where I am on the piano. Funny how middle C always ends up in the middle, doesn't it? Ha! Clever. Okay. So let's just learn the melody to begin with, all right? And I just want to do it by ear, all right? And I'll tell you that it starts on a C, okay, and in the key that we're going to be playing this. So it starts on a C, and it just runs right down, actually a C dominant scale, not that you needed to know that, but runs right down a scale. So it goes, no way in a jar, right? So again, with some rhythm on there, the actual notes just go C, B flat, and then right on down the white notes, right? And if I'm assuming if you're do what we're doing today is that you know what this tune sounds like, right? And that's what we're going to really take advantage of is that you really already know this song up in your noggin. You've just possibly never played it on a piano before. So here we go. So it'll be Away in a Manger. All right, that's the beginning. And then so that's the first kind of jump you make, and that jump, if you just have one finger over every note, those 5 notes, right? It's da, da. All right. So again, that section is G, E, and then it starts over that same thing going down. Okay, that's pretty straight ahead. And we have, there's the biggest jump. It's from a C up to a B flat. All right, so. All right. Now, a point that I want to make right now is that, you say, well, Scott, I don't have that memorized yet. Oh, like, well, I bet you probably do have it memorized up in your head. You just haven't played it a few times to get it memorized in your hands, if you want to think of it that way. But more than that, what I would like to I guess, emphasize like crazy is that let your ears tell you when it's right or wrong. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to play my hand on purpose here, but if I'm playing along with this thing and saying I was trying to work on it and I didn't have any music, if I was doing this, whoa, I mean, you instantly hear that it's wrong, right? Your ear says, no, wait, that's not the right melody. And if that happens, just go through and figure it out. If you play, oh, oops, that's not it. You can figure that out, right? You can pretty much figure that out, and that's kind of a point I want to make. I think a lot of people, particularly any of you that may be watching that are not familiar with what I do, or you're not either students in the program or any of that. You're thinking, how are you going to do this without any music? And that's cheating. And it's like, no, it's really not. It's just trusting your ears a little bit. Now we do read the melody line too, but I just love making this point on tunes like this that everyone knows the melody to it already. You let that. That's the music. That's the song. The black dots on white paper, the ink on paper, that's not the tune. The tune is da 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 da, and you know that. You just need to get it out your fingers, right? So let me switch back. I'll keep moving on. I'm make my point there until I'm blue in the face. So here we go. We'll do it one more time. I'll play through the whole thing. That way, if you need to go back and see it again, you can. Now, there's something I might mention. I'm sure a lot of serious piano players think, well, how should I finger this, Scott? And heck, I don't care. As slow as this tune is, you could just do it with your index finger if you want. Right? But I suppose one thing I could mention there, it's a nice way to go if you want to keep all your fingers down at the same. I'm saying this. Please don't take this seriously because it really doesn't matter. And if you're there and you've got to keep going, a common thing that happens is you slide these two fingers, you bring your third finger over. You do that kind of going both ways. You either put your thumb under or your finger over when you're going up or down. So you could go, then watch this, flip those fingers over. So there. And just do whatever's comfortable for you. We're going to start playing this in octaves in a minute, so it's going to throw all this fingering right out the window, which is kind of normal. Okay, now here's the biggest jump. Now I'm using my ring finger there instead of my pinky, just because my ring finger is longer, right? Instead of having to go and kind of reaching up, I can just kind of stick my ring finger out and it'll play it. And it finishes up on a D, E, F. All right, so that's the melody line, right? So there's the melody and what we have. Fair enough. All right, so now what we're going to do is move off and start thinking about what the chords are that go with the tune, all right? Now, the great news is this is just a 3-chord tune, right? Like a lot of Christmas carols or holiday tunes or Hanukkah tunes, these old folk tunes are very simple from a harmonic standpoint. And in this case, there's going to be 3 chords. There's going to be an F chord, a B flat chord, and a C chord. All right, so those are the 3 chords we're going to do. But before we even get there, and this is getting back to the kind of how to, learning to play by ear thing. Before we get to that point, what I'm going to do is just single notes. What I want you to do is to figure out where the chords change by ear. I can't do it. Right? Sure you can. So here we go. Here's the trick. Not even trick. Here's just what we're going to do. I'm going to assume that you've heard this so many times that you can probably take a guess. Now the good news is when you're guessing about this, because I've told you what the 3 chords is, they start with an F, and I'm not even going to teach you the chord yet. I'm just going to teach you the single note root. So we have an F, right, and a B flat, and a C. Those are the 3 chords in this song. And it starts on an F, I'll tell you that. So we have F, B flat, and C. Right? And you could play them up here if you wanted, B flat and C. The point is, I want you to really be hearing this. Now also understand something just purely from a statistical standpoint. Because we're going to have to guess when to change chords, right? And you say, well, which chord should we change to? Know that because it's a 3-chord tune, if I'm on one chord and I've got to guess one of the other 2, you got a 50-50 chance of getting it right, even if you don't know what you're doing, right? So hey, pretty good odds if you ask me. But you won't even need that. Here we go. So we're going to start out on an F chord. I just want you to hear these bass notes. These are the roots of the chords. I want to hear the bass note. So we're going to go. And don't you worry about playing along with it yet. I'm going to, because I have no way to sing it to you or hum it to you. So here we go. But in your head, you would be humming through this melody. So we'll go. Now, should I change here or stay the same? Well, let's stay the same. Let me try staying there. No, something should have changed right there. You could just kind of tell. Now, right here, it should go do something. It should move. Bum, I'm hearing that. But even if you don't hear that, you can just tell it should go somewhere else. Well, let's try, you've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So let's start and try the C. Let's try that one. Nah, that wasn't it. That was clearly not it. So if that's not that, I bet it's a B flat. Let's try that one. Yeah, that's it. That's clearly it. No, you don't stay there. You got to come back, I think. So I hear this. Yay. So there's the first 4 measures, right? You just figured it out. So it starts on a C chord. F chord. Pardon me, F chord. F, F, B flat. Okay, so there we are on that. Now let's move on. So now we're in the melody part that goes, the little Lord Jesus. Right, it's that part. So now we're going to go, and I was on the F. Let me do it again so we can keep it in the progression of the tune in our mind. So now again, we're thinking, when should I change chords? Well, that doesn't sound right there. So let's go to the... No, that doesn't sound right. So let's try the only other chance we have, which is a C. Yeah, clearly that sounds right there. Right? So... And I'm hearing that it should move. But say you didn't know and you just kept playing it, and your ear would say, oh, that sounds terrible. Listen to this. Right? That's totally wrong. And again, the point is, and I know this may sound like and I'm doing this very obviously to make this giant point of, man, when it's a train wreck, it's a train wreck, and you know it. Your ear goes, no, that's not the song. I know that song, and that's not what it sounds like. And, there are some things that are a little iffy, but on these kind of songs, boy, when it goes to the wrong chord, you know it right away. So instead of saying, well, I don't want to keep hitting the wrong chord, Scott, flip that mental process upside down and kind of prove to yourself, wow, I guess what you're saying is I'm kind of doing this by ear. I kind of know this well enough. I never thought I could do any music by ear, but I kind of know it. I can tell when it's wrong, right? Well, that's the crawling of learning to play by ear before you start walking and running. It's unbelievable. As human beings, we have this ability, and boy, who knows where it came from, to hear harmonies and to hear when things sound right from our memory. And that's kind of what I'm going through. And I know I'm doing it in a real Fred Flintstone, throwing bricks kind of way right now, but I'm doing it on purpose because I think it's just a huge eye-opener for most people to say, man, I think, maybe I'm not there yet, but I can kind of peek through the door. And you're right. Maybe I do have some of this in me. So let me continue on. There's only a couple more measures. We'll finish this out. Okay, so let's start at the beginning where we were. So we were on F to B flat, then back to F. Okay, so we knew that. Now we're going to go to the C. And then this is kind of a choice. I'm going to, for simplicity reasons, just go back to the F. Okay, sorry. I was going to show you something of the chord, but I changed my mind. So here we go. And now we start the second. It repeats the thing. So then it goes to a C, back to F, to B flat. Excuse me. Hey, this is really simple. So it goes to F, to B flat, then to C, then back to the F. All right. So what I want you to take from that, is not trying to play it together like I was, because I'm sure if you've never done this, you'll have a lot of this stuff going on. But what I want you to really think is, wow, I kind of know the chord changes to that tune. Now, if you end up looking at this lead sheet that I gave you the link to down there, and again, you can do it later if you don't have it printed out right now. When you look at that, that's exactly what you'll see. You'll see an F chord, then a B flat chord, and a C chord, and they'll be coming down the road in that same order that we just kind of heard by ear. So, there's no big mystery where this stuff comes from. If as a shortcut, it's kind of like keeping an outline, if you will. You can look at the lead sheet, but you know what? You probably know this one already. All right? So don't ever let the importance of that kind of get away from you. All right. So now we know the melody line and we know what the chord changes are. I'm going to run through it one more time, and I think this is actually not the worst way in the world to actually play a tune. And I'm going to move way up, right? And I'm going to do nothing but play it softly and and kind of musically, and do nothing but play single note roots. Here we go. Nothing wrong with that, huh? I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think it kind of sounded like a music box, didn't it? A simple little thing up high. And that's music. That's music. I thought that was kind of a cool little thing. So now let me just start throwing some things on top of that, all right? We're going to start marching forward from that. But again, I hope I didn't overemphasize this too much, but I think it's so key for people to realize that the basis of a tune is the melody line and the chord changes. And I didn't even play the full chords there. I just played the roots to the chord, and it sounded beautiful, right? It's a nice thing. All right, let's keep digging in. I'll find some more fun stuff to do. Now, instead of just with your left hand, instead of just the root by itself, for any of you that don't know that term, the letter name of a chord, right? If you say it's a C chord, then the root of the chord is a C. And so whatever the letter name of the chord, that's the root, and that's the note you want to play on the bottom most of the time anyway. Okay? So instead of just playing the root, put all your fingers over a white note, right? Like that. And that distance, that's called a fifth. And even more important than a fifth, it's called a perfect fifth. It's perfect. Has to do with some harmony stuff, but you'll see why when you hear it here in a second. That distance, if you can always sing do, re, mi, right? Do, re, mi, fa, so, right? It's do, so, do, re, mi, fa, so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's why it's a fifth. It's the fifth scale step up, right? Well, when you play that distance, that's the two outside notes of a major chord, all right? So that's what I want you to do next. I'm going to teach you here in F. When you're on the F chord, and we know when we're going to have to switch back and forth between them. When you're on the F chord, it's those two notes, okay? When you're on the B flat chord, it's these notes. It's a B flat and an F. And you don't need to tuck your fingers the way I am. I'm just doing that so you can see real well. And you can, this works in any octave. And then when you're on the C, it's that, C and a G. And if you ever lose track, do, re, mi, fa, so, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, play the two outside notes. So this time we're just going to play that. Just going to play this fifths. It's funny, when you do that in rock and roll, they call it a power chord. If there's any guitar players watching this, you'll go, hey, man, that's the power chord you're playing there. You can't play power chords in Christmas carols. Oh, yeah? Well, watch me. Here we go. So here's a nice thing you can do as well. This almost sounds a little, I don't know, is it Scottish? Or I'm waiting for the bagpipes or something, but here we go. We're going to do the whole tune the same way. Oh, excuse me. Now there's a case, if you ever have a thumb crash like that, that was a case where the melody line was on the same note I was trying to play it. Just get your thumb out of the way and play it. Right? There's no secret to that, or play it in the other octave, right? We're going to do that. Now instead of just playing it together, how about doing this? Just play the lower one first. Okay, let's try that one. There it is in C, back to F. That's pretty, huh? Okay, kind of stepping up the ladder. That was kind of cool. Little thing, boo-doo. It almost sounds like bells or maybe chimes a little bit, right? Okay. Now, something else you can do is when you're doing that, and I was doing this, that's why I want to try to talk to you. I was using my pedal a little bit too, and you guys don't have it, it's called a sustain pedal. If you have an acoustic piano, it's the one on the right. Let me get back to my headshot here. If it's an acoustic piano, it's the one the farthest to the right. If you only have two pedals, it's the one on the right. And if you only have one pedal, it's that one. Clever the way that works, isn't it? Okay. Sustain pedal. And the idea is that obviously it keeps, and sorry if this is super elementary, but some of you may have never in your life touched a piano, right? I don't have the pedal down there, so the note stops. Now I push the pedal down, although you can't see that. See how it keeps ringing? It's like a bell. Bong. So if I don't have a pedal down, if I do have the pedal down, all right. So having said that, it's kind of my basic 1, 2, 3. What's the name of that book series? The Idiot's Guide. The Idiot's Guide to Sustain Pedal is a one-page book, and it says, every time you change chords, lift your pedal up and put it back down. Right? What you really can't do is keep a sustain pedal down across a chord when it changes to a different chord. That's when it really starts sounding muddy. But as long as you kind of, keep the pedal going within one chord, that's a super simple kind of starting way to say it'll work. So check this out. So if I'm going to do that same thing we just did and play with the fifths and go, excuse me. Now I've got the pedal down now, right? See how it's sounding? So I'm going to go, haven't lifted up, but now I'm going to lift it up because I moved chords. All right? And when I say lift up, I mean lift up and put it back down. You basically have to let everything stop sounding for a second, and then you can put it back down when the new chord sounds are coming out. Now, by doing that, and that's where I was going to get with this next one, you can start just playing. It doesn't have to be any specific rhythm. If you're doing something like, excuse me, how about that? That was the 1 and the 5 and then on up to the octave. There it is in C. There it is in B flat. B flat, F, B flat, right? So any of these kind of things, take advantage of the top of the piano sounding really pretty on holiday tunes. And it's this kind of snowy almost feeling, this kind of ethereal, There's a good one there. I just made it. Do this one. All right, and you don't worry if it's not perfect. You can change it every measure if you want, but that's pretty to like. See how I'm just kind of messing around with my left hand on those chord tones? Interesting, huh? Okay, now you could also put, if you want to play the whole chord, let me go ahead and teach that to you now. So we started with the roots, and then we went with the root and the outside note, the fifth. That's a perfect fifth. If you want to just put the middle note in there, it's the one that's, on, off, on. You want to do that? There's an F chord. It's F, A, C. The C chord is exactly the same shape. C, skip one, hit one, skip one, hit one. Okay? There's that. And then a B flat chord is B. That one's a little more awkward probably for some of you because you'll probably want to, for now, just stick it. Play with your pinky. But it's a D and then an F. Or you can play it like that too. Or like that. Or if you want to, you can do that. What you don't want to do is get your hand all wrenched like that. If you're ever feeling like that, the problem is you need to shove your hand forward a little bit. Know that you can play any of these notes way up here between the black notes. It's funny, people have this tendency to want to play the white notes way out at the end. So I'll say like, here, play C, E, G, and B flat. And everyone says, my thumb doesn't reach that, Scott. I can't do it. Right? Well, don't do this. Do this. Just take your hand and slide it forward about 2 inches. Ha! Perfect. Carol Merrill, take the door number 3. All right, there it is. Yeah, so however you want to play that. Back to what I was talking about there is just the idea that if you want to play the whole chord, you can do that and then noodle around with those notes too. So we have like... I just moved the melody down 1 octave that time. I actually like the way it sounds up high better for Christmas carols though, right? So you can do all that too. Now, when I talked about playing up high, I think it's a good, try to not stay in the same area for the whole song in this case. So watch this. I'll start this for like the first run through that whole melody line, and then it kind of repeats itself with a little bit different last couple measures. But I'll do the first one, up high like this. Now I'm going to keep, instead of coming back up here, I'm going to keep working my way down to this C. So stay down here. You're starting to... Actually, if I was moving off, I'd probably start playing even a little bit lower, but... Maybe I could do that. Do the same old 1, 5, and octave thing, but do it down here. Sorry. Okay. Interesting. Last one I'm going to give you here, and then I want to talk about doing accompaniment style instead of solo style. You can always play the melody line in octaves, and this may seem like a really advanced thing for some of you total beginners, but it just is not that hard on these slower songs. What I'm saying is, instead of just playing a single note like this, play that note and the note 1 octave higher at the same time. Now my hands can reach that, but I don't have gigantic hands by any means. Some of you, my hands are too short, I can't do it. Well, this works out beautifully for you, because if you feel like it's a real stretch, kind of a good way to do it is to play the bottom one first, and then kind of do that. I'll do it down here. Kind of do this. If you have to kind of jump off, you can do that. All right, so we play like this. And hold your pedal down while you're doing it. It's really pretty. Sounds like bells. Hear that? The bum bum. You just barely play the bottom one first. Listen to that. It's really a great effect. So. All right, nice, huh? Now, if you really want to get a little bit, well, actually, I'll save that for this next comment, for the next thing I'm getting into. Oh, there. Hey, I'm still here. Those really were my hands. I'm dying of thirst. Excuse me. All right. Uh-oh. That could that could cause a burp right there. That was soda. You know how hard it is to go for an entire hour without burping when a mic's about a half inch from your mouth? But I'm going to fight it just for you guys. This is a high-class operation here at Piano in a Flash, and I'm not going to burp on my holiday video, I promise. Okay. Um, what I want to talk about, so that was kind of going through the whole different, we started by not even looking at any music, right? And then we kind of figured out some chords. And it's just, you start doing a little bit more, and it's kind of like snowball starts running down the hill. Hey, nice analogy this time of year, huh? And it just keeps getting a little bit bigger. Well, I think I'm going to do this thing, and I think I'm going to play octaves. And, and anything you want to do, if something gives you huge fits and you can't do it, well, don't do that and do something else instead, right? Well, all this we were doing because I was playing the melody line was called solo style, i.e., I'm playing it on piano. I'm not expecting people to sing with me, right? Well, when you want to accompany someone singing, yourself or someone else, which is a big topic this time of year for holiday piano playing. You're all sitting around. I hope your significant others or your frenemies or whoever it is you're spending Christmas with, you want to sing a little bit. You would probably prefer to play what's called accompaniment style. Now, the great news is that accompaniment style is even easier than what I just did because you do not need to play the melody line. So the real difference is this, right? Solo style, we were playing a melody in our right hand and then some chord. Let me shift back to the piano here. We were playing a melody up here and some chord tones, either playing a chord or something down here, but the melody was happening in this hand because no one else was singing it, so we had to play the darn thing. Well, boy, when someone else is going to sing it, you don't want to play the melody. All you need to do is play the chords. So now it's like you have an extra hand with extra fingers that you can do some stuff, right? So again, you don't want to play the melody line when you're accompanying someone, at least on a tune they know like this, right? And I know this doesn't apply if you're accompanying a church choir or something and they don't yet note the song. You need to play the melody line so that you can teach it to them. But in a case like this, everyone knows the melody to Away in a Manger. So you don't want to play it because you'll kind of be butting heads with whoever's singing. Or, you'll all be kind of mushing the same stuff, right? So take advantage of somebody else playing the melody. It gets it off your plate. And then you can just focus on this. And so here's the big change. So now, instead of melody and chords or chord tones, now I'm going to do some of the chord stuff with my right hand, and I'm probably going to take my left hand to just play bass notes or to do something down lower. Let's just start to fill out the instrument a little bit, right? So, if I'm say I'm just going to, follow along the chords or the lead sheet or whatever, we start, and I'm not going to sing and nauseate all of you, I promise, but no way, ba da 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 da. Okay, now what am I doing there? I was just playing the notes in an F chord, and I could play it. I could do anything I want. I could kind of do what we were doing with our left hand before and in my left hand, I'm going to play down, and I know this is just getting off the camera shot a little bit, but I'm as wide as I can go. I checked that before we started. That's just if that's sneaking off the video right there, that's an F I'm playing on the bottom, and there's the B flat and the C I'll play. So you can play like it starts here, right? So there I'm just playing a B flat chord in my right hand, and I'm playing the bass note down there and down there. And then instead of here, maybe I want to go down one octave that you can't see. See, now we're getting down to my range. Right? So this would be kind of an accompaniment style for the whole thing. And you're going to have to kind of sing along yourself. So I'll start out here like. Sorry. some of you are looking at me and saying, well, Scott, you're not playing it the way you taught us. That was an F chord. You're right, but keep in mind when I say these three notes, all of these same three notes all over the keyboard are good. So not only these three, but those three, and those three, and these three, you know, all these. Those are all good notes across the piano. So what I was doing was just kind of splitting the chord apart. You could call it an inversion. Sometimes an inversion is just stacking a chord in a different order. But more than that, I was just thinking, hey, these are all safe notes. I know that when I'm on the F section, as long as I'm playing an F, an A, or a C, I can't play a clam. No wrong notes, right? So if I'm just... if I go to C... excuse me. Any way you want to play it, it's all up to you to do it that way, okay? So that's the big deal with, and I want to make this big point for lesson reasons, that's the big deal between solo style and accompaniment style. So if you really don't know the melody, but you just know the chords, or you just have a lead sheet and you see some chords, and you think, oh, I'm not really a good reader yet, or I don't want to take the time to learn that. If it's something like Jingle Bells or Silent Night or Away in a Manger or all these songs that we all know, just play the chords, right? In fact, now that I said that, this is a slow one. Let me show you one other catch-all way to do this. It's always good. Like Jingle Bells would be that way, but let me use these same chords. You can always go back and forth between your left and right hand like this. I'm going to do it down here. This is an F. You can do like this. Actually, now let me move it up an octave so you guys can see what I'm doing. You can always just use that open fifth we talk about, the power chord or the perfect fifth. Use that like a bass line, back and forth, but do it down lower. Here, you want to do Away in a Manger, more upscale or more upbeat like this. Wait, that's going to be in 4. I got to think out of... right. Right. And you can do this. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle bells. Right. You can always take whatever chord you're... That's kind of a catch-all. Boom, boom. Just back and forth between the chord and that 1 and 5. That's a good little one I can give away there. Sorry. Pulled that one out of my bag of tricks. Okay, we did octave, we do that, and we talked about accompaniment style. All right. I'm probably 2 or 3 minutes from being done with this. When any of you take a look at that lead sheet, I actually, just this afternoon, I engraved that thing, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to just go from the sublime to the ridiculous, from the very simple 3-chord version that we've been working on. People say, well, how come like kind of jazzier things sound richer, or better players start sounding? We start with exactly the same chords, but we just start either embellishing them. Instead of just playing a major chord, maybe I'll play a major 7 or a major 9, or and there's some colorful tones you could. It's like the same chord, but it's like same vanilla ice cream, but we're going to put a little bit more chocolate sauce all around it with some. Then sometimes we put some sprinkles on top of that to make it sound better, and sometimes we're going to add a little bit more, not just ice cream. I'm going to throw a banana in there too, and you just kind of keep building it, but the inside core of it is still the same tune. So for that reason, I really was just kind of monkeying around and was trying to find really rich, pretty sounding chords, and this is what I came up with. And if you want to see this, and for most of you watching this, I'm not in any way expecting you to do this nor to understand, but a few of you that may be a lot more advanced, you want a really hip, very advanced set of chord changes for this tune. This would be it. And how I'm going to be playing this, I'll go ahead and put it on my hands, but I don't want it to scare anybody away. How I'm going to be doing it is really playing chord tones. Let me move this over here. I'm going to be playing chord tones between, like, all the way through my hands, because they're these big, heavy chords. So instead of just chords and melody, or just accompanying, I'm going to be playing the melody line on top. My pinky will always have the melody on it, because the melody has to stay on top. It's why the sopranos always get the melody. You can hear it better because it's the highest note. But with that exception, I'm going to be playing these chords, and all this kind of amongst my hands. So don't let this confuse you. But I just wanted to do this because sonically it's a really interesting, nice sound from what we've been doing. So we go like this. And I'll call out a few of the chords if you care, but you can follow along. Or you can see this if you want to watch this after it gets archived. You can follow along with the lead sheet. It's on the lower half of that page. I did a whole nother version with advanced chords. So here we go. There's an F major 9. Crazy, huh? Same melody, just changing some of the chords around, and it's yeah, all of a sudden it turns it into this much richer harmonic thing, and obviously no one could ever sing along with that or wouldn't want to, but that's just kind of from the sublime to the ridiculous, or the ridiculous to the sublime, whichever direction I guess you're thinking. A way to get in it, and so if there's a long shot goal if you want to learn what all those chords are and dig in, that's what that would sound like. So, all right. Um, I did that. I did that. I think I'm ready to break here and go for some questions and answers. And again, just reminding everybody, there's a link down in the description for that lead sheet you can get to, or if you go, and I'll mention them here in a few minutes after we take some questions. I just want to quickly mention we still got some holiday specials going on, and there's links to that too. And in case you are waiting for a present for yourself, it's actually probably too late to ship it and get it to you in time, but it's still a heck of a good deal. So. All right. Question. Sue. Sue says, how long do you recommend practicing each day for maximum progress? You know what? This is kind of a trap question. And for that reason, I'm going to have another sip of soda here. And yes, by the way, this is soda. I'm not drinking beer. But I will be as soon as this is over, all right? All right. Practice. This is going to sound kind of foofy, but it's something I've said for a long time, and a lot of you have probably heard me say it. I don't like to think of the term practice. I like to think of the term play, right? I don't practice much, but I play a ton. Or when I'm really loving it, I play. And what really keeps my juices flowing and keeps my nose to the grindstone is when I'm working on a tune that I care about. So that's why and again, some of you that have heard me, I have been shouting this from the mountaintop for, excuse me, for years. It's so critical that you're playing something that you want to play, right? This isn't just grinding for grinding's sake. This is, man, you know what? I have always wanted to be able to sit down and play some Christmas carols for my family. Or, what if it's a different time of year, who knows what. Or I've always wanted to play Auld Lang Syne on New Year's Eve. Or, hey, this is this tune and I knew it was my favorite tune in my high school prom and I've wanted to play it for 30 years. It's tunes like that really get your juices flowing. That's what you want to work on. Now, to kind of take it from that big ethereal ha ha ha, with that in mind, I don't think that you should really put a definitive time. I mean, I'm a big runner, right? And I that's something that I time. I'm like, I want to get my 25 minutes in or my 35 minutes, and I have, I'm training, right, this specific thing. And I have never looked at my piano playing that way. There are some days where I'll sit down, and if I'm grinding, I'll grind for a couple hours. But man, there's also a ton of time that I'll just sit down and play a few tunes because I just don't want to, I just don't want to work that hard, frankly. But then there's also times, and I think this is a good way to put this too, that you're working through a tune, you kind of know it already, and this is a good example. Like Away in a Manger, you're going to get to a point really quickly. I feel super confident because it's just not a hard tune. You're going to very quickly get to a point where you'll, out of all the stuff I just said, you'll in some way incorporate whatever it's going to be for your version of the song, and you're going to have your own little arrangement of it. But once you get to that, you'll start getting bored with it. And that's where I really think you can spread out more in this style. Instead of this very methodical, do this first, then this, then this. I think it's more of a, do this, get to a point, and then reach out and grab this, and then reach out and grab that, and then reach, oh, you know what, I want to find a new ending to use with that one. The ending I'm using is kind of cornier. It's kind of that. It's more of a building your snowball than a going down the track. Maybe that's a better way to say it. So I don't know. 15, 20 minutes. I think mechanically, sorry, I'm glad I said this or got to this or my brain got here. Just purely for finger aerobics reasons, 5 minutes. If you really want a hard number. And on that topic, I've got in fact, on this YouTube channel, that's right, this one's on YouTube, not Facebook, we've got 40 to 50. I call it Take 5. And if you guys, I'm so glad I remember to say this. Yeah, look at, it's one of our, what do you call it, playlists. And all the videos, and by the way, any of you that haven't subscribed to this channel, there will be somewhere on this thing that you're watching this, there's a little button you can click to subscribe. And even better when you do that, there's a, sorry, my earpiece is falling out. Even better when you do that, there's a little bell. If you click on it, it'll look like the bell's rung. That'll alert you whenever we post new stuff. But go check out that whole series of videos called Take 5, Sue. 5 minutes a day. That is pure stretching. It's finger aerobics. That's all I would do with that. You do any more than that, and you're going to hate piano and you'll quit playing. So that's what kind of scares me when I say 30 minutes a day or whatever it is. Do it until you don't like it anymore. And if that ends up being 2 or 3 hours, more power to you. And if it's 5 or 10 minutes, then quit. We're not doing this to add stress, right? We're doing this to de-stress. We're not trying to be concert pianists here. We're doing this for personal enrichment. So don't let that get over your head. All right. Are all fifth chords perfect, or does perfect fifth mean something different? There really is no such thing as a fifth chord. That what I was calling that, and I know that's probably confusing. They just call that interval here. This interval, ba-dum, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 5, as opposed to 1, 3, 5, or 1, 7, dominant 7, 1, 6, 1, 5. That interval is just known as a perfect fifth. There's probably something deeper that I don't remember from music school, but that's just known as a perfect fifth. So there's not really a fifth chord. You've got major and minor chords. If you're playing just the root in the fifth, maybe they call it a 5, a C5. Now that I'm saying that, I take that back. Maybe I have seen chord symbols. There might be a chord symbol that you would just see that just says like C5 instead of C7 or C minor or C major. It would say C5. And I assume if I saw that, I'd probably play that. I'd probably play a power chord. Lots of times they'll say C omit 3, right? Meaning leave the third out, leave the middle note out of it. So, okay, Laura says, what if I don't know the melody? Then I think, well, it depends on how a couple different options here. One, I can't imagine you sitting down and wanting to play a tune that you've never heard before. That's always kind of one of those, well, I never thought of it that way. But somebody says, I'm always telling people, find that tune that you're just dying to play. And I can imagine someone saying, Scott, I am just dying to play the song that I have never once heard in my life. Right? I'm like, that's not going to happen. So then I think probably the other situation that arises if you're trying to play for someone else, or someone your kid comes to you and says, hey, can you accompany my trombone solo or something, and something like that, or you're trying to accompany a choir and you don't know the tune yet. In the case of not knowing the melody of a tune, you either need to go listen to, well, actually, I shouldn't say either. You should always go listen to it. Try to find a recording and listen to as many different recordings of a tune as you can. There is not a better, more sound way to internalize a tune than to hear it a lot. And then find a lead sheet of the tune, Laura. Find a lead sheet of the tune. And if you're not aware of what those are, lead sheets are how we play in this style. They are single note melody lines. I guess for you guys it'd go this way. Single note at a time melody lines. Actually, download that thing that's the links down there. You'll see what a lead sheet is. It's just a one note at a time melody line in the treble clef with chord changes up on top. And it is by definition not an arrangement of the tune, because in our styles it's our job to make the arrangement. We don't want to play some hokey arrangement that some hokey staff arranger at a publishing company wrote because they were concerned about the difficulty level. We want to play whatever we want to play. And how you really find out the DNA of a song is with a lead sheet. It tells you the melody and the chords, which are the harmony. And that is the DNA of a song. And then you learn just that basic part like we kind of did today on Away in a Manger, and you can just start growing from there. So If you don't know the melody, you need to either go find a lead sheet so you can read it. But again, not the whole grand staff and everything. You just need to read the melody line and or listen to it. You should always listen to tunes. I can't emphasize that enough. I think a lot of people have got this misguided notion that black dots on white paper are music, and they are not. Black dots on white paper is music notation, gang. Don't ever get that wrong. Black dots on white paper is a recording of music, just like a CD or a cassette or throughout the ages, 8-track tape, all these old things. They've all been ways to record music. And back when music notation was developed and, Bach and Beethoven were writing their symphonies, there wasn't a way to orally, A-U-R, to orally record anything. So the only way you could save it for posterity was to write it and take it out of its natural environment, which is what we hear, and put it into a very unnatural environment, which is what we see. And then you've got whoever's on the other end needs to decode that. Well, what music is what we hear. That's music, If I saw that written on a piece of paper, that would just be a recording of that music. So, there. All right. What's your favorite Christmas song to play? Susan. That's a toughie. That's like, the classical line is, that's like asking which child you like best. Even though everyone really does like one of their children better. I know it. I know it. I don't know. There's, I like playing, there's a really beautiful, I'll probably butcher it right now, but really beautiful, kind of in the same vein as me using the heavy chords on Away in a Manger. Got a really pretty version of Silent Night like that. That's and on and on. I don't want to waste the rest of the time that, but that's a good one. I'll tell you another great one is Chestnuts is a great one. Yeah. So I get what key do I normally play? I guess I play it in C. Yeah. That's a good tune too. That's a good one. What are some other 3-chord? This is Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. What are some other 3-chord carols that we could apply what we've learned? Oh man. Silent Night. Here we go. A simple version of that. Let me go back to that shot. I hope I'm switching all this in the studio by myself, gang. So if I've thought I was showing you something and you've been looking at my pained expression on my face instead, I apologize. I think I've gotten most of them switched though. Silent Night. There's a C chord. This one has C, F, and G. Actually, I could do it in F, B flat, and C. Here, we'll do it in that. So same 3 chords, F, B flat, and C. Sorry. C, back to F. B flat. To F. Oh, I did it. Probably wouldn't end it that way, but yeah, you can do that. Jingle Bells is a 3-chord tune too. Yeah, there's Silent Night, Jingle Bell. Actually, I guess Jingle Bells, you could do it as 3. It's got you can. Most people would hear it as a 4-chord tune. I mean, almost all the great standard ones that are not big jazz tunes, they're all that. Joy to the World is that way. Yeah, a bunch of just I tell you what's a good thing to do if I've kind of lit a fire. There are Christmas fake books out there. You know what? I'll add if I can remember, I'll add a link to the description on this video. There are some Christmas fake books out there. Actually, shameless plug, but there are it's got the favorites and holiday songs fake book. Has a bunch of Christmas carols in it. Those of you that are students, it's the 3rd gig book. It's not called Gig Book 3, but it's the 3rd one. There's a bunch of good Christmas tunes in those books. So, right before we cut off here, I'm about ready to wrap it up. I do want to mention those links down there. We've got a couple things that are still going on for a few days coming up to Christmas. One is what we're calling a player's pack. It was just, again, trying to do a promotion for Christmas. It's courses 1 and 2 in my pianoinaflash.com online courses. Anyone watching this that is not currently a student, and hi to all the current students, I'm glad to see you. Anyone that is not, I would encourage you to go to pianoinaflash.com to just check it out. There's a free intro course that you can try and kind of dip your toes in the water and make sure it'll all work. But it's a combination of videos like me teaching like this, although they're much more they're not as rambly as this. Um, it's me teaching with actual books that I follow along with that you get in the mail, and then also the ability, if you need any help or anything, to contact us. So anyway, with that in that regard, those offers are the players pack is course 1 and 2, and then the little bonus for Christmas is three of these one-on-one videos thrown in, and then there's also the full course bundle, which is all 6 courses, and it has 12 of those things tossed in there. So the link for the premium and the players pack is down below in the description somewhere too. So if you click on those, I'm not doing a good job of describing them. If you click on those, you'll see what's in it. I mean, it's very well described on those pages. And actually, I think there's also a link to the lead sheet for Away in a Manger that we did today on those pages as well. So I think that's about it. I'm actually, boy, how's that for running? I'm like within 2 minutes. I'm happy to stick around. If everybody's probably getting tired, but if somebody's got some questions, I could do that, or maybe not. Maybe I ought to go ahead and close it off. If someone has questions, feel free to. You can always email support at pianoinaflash.com. Again, that's support at pianoinaflash.com. And we'll try to get to those later. We can answer, or Ryan can answer you. So I guess to wrap this up, I just realized I didn't talk about my funny little Charlie Brown tree. That's actually my funny little Charlie Brown Colts tree. So I'm sorry it's kind of tacky and white and blue, but it's got Colts ornaments on it. What can I say? Someone gave it to me. But having said all that, for all of you, whatever your faith, whatever your tradition, I just hope, and I can't wish you a more peaceful, less stressful, hopefully musically filled, I hope, time to just have a little downtime. I think it's so incredibly important for all of us, and it's so hard to do sometimes. So I hope you get a few days to chill out and be with the people you want to be with, and and have a very happy, warm, Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday and Happy Hanukkah. And thanks for everything, guys. I feel pretty blessed to do what I do for a living. So appreciate that, and I want you all to go out and have fun playing piano because it's a good thing to do. So that's that. Merry Christmas. I'm out.